Yeah, if his own Democratic leaders think he's incapable of being president, isn't that going to raise doubts in voters' minds? So, you have this vicious cycle. And then you say, see, he's going down in the polls. We have to get rid of him, when the very thing you're doing is pushing him down in the polls.
Hey everyone, hope you're enjoying your weekend. Thanks for coming to our live TGIF last night. And as usual, we had more topics than we had time to cover. But we did cover the worst of the worst women of the RNC. Well, Bruce ripped MTG for a while, and we had a few others too. But today I want to talk about some of the women of the Democrat Party. With all of this, all of these calls for Biden to step down from the establishment Dems, and some people running for re-election nervous about their seats and their districts, and of course there's the money drying up from the donors because of many reasons, along with not wanting to pay more taxes and so on, and regulations, etc. As usual, the Democrats are nervous Nellies, and they should have, if they were going to have this conversation, should have had it long ago. And after the debate performance, which everybody's admitted it wasn't his best, and he had a cold, and now he's come down with COVID, and people are even more freaked out. But they're listening to these donor class, and they're ignoring the will of the voters at their peril, of the 14 million who already voted for Biden as the nominee. There's been a lot of pushback from several groups of women, including 14,000 now, I think, Black women have signed on to a letter saying why they want Biden to stay in the race, and that the chaos it would cause now for organizing and their voting registration pushes and everything. It's why are you doing this? And then there's the internal dispute over whether they're going to actually give Kamala the nomination, and they keep saying things like, well, we don't want a coronation, we want a competition. Well, whatever the hell that means. What do you mean by coronation? Heather McGhee wrote an opinion in the New York Times that talks about this. What do you mean coronation? It's absolutely normal for the vice president to be the one if should Biden not be able to, or decides not to keep campaigning, which as of today he has said he's still staying in the race, and he plans trips to Georgia and Texas next week. So after that RNC failure, worst ratings ever. Boring, horrible, crazy, insanity, RNC. We've had some time to reflect on, hey, can Biden beat this guy? Answer, yes. We've already had the input from election predictor Professor Alan Lichtman, who's correctly predicted, well, 9 out of 10, but really 10 out of 10 of the last 10 elections since the 80s. The one that he was supposedly incorrect about was the Al Gore-Bush dispute. So he was actually correct 10 out of 10 times, and he still says Biden is the one to beat Trump.
All of this is one debate. He had the NATO summit after that. An hour and 9 minutes he stood on that stage with no teleprompter, answered hostile, difficult questions with knowledge, precision, understanding. Could Donald Trump have done that for 10 minutes without devolving into rants about shark attacks and Hannibal Lecter and being electrocuted? Not on your life. None of these critics have any track record of predicting elections, nor do they have any idea of what dementia and senility really represent. Now, plan B. It's not my plan A, but it is vastly better than what Adam Schiff and those feckless Democrats seem to be pushing their party into. And they've got to stop this internal conflict, this trashing of their presidency. Look, It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. We trash our president, he goes down in the polls, and we're saying, see, he can't win. Yeah, if his own Democratic leaders think he's incapable of being president, isn't that going to raise doubts in voters' minds? So, you have this vicious cycle. And then you say, see, he's going down in the polls. We have to get rid of him, when the very thing you're doing is pushing him down in the polls. Plus, we don't govern by polls. If we did that, Barack Obama should have withdrew after he decisively lost his first debate to Mitt Romney, and the poll shifted by 12 points from Obama up 8 to down 4. George H.W. Bush should have quit in the spring of 1988 when he was down 17 points to Mike Dukakis, and Donald Trump should have quit when he was consistently down to Hillary Clinton and all the pollsters were saying he couldn't win.
Hey guys, we know we're small, but we are strong, and we're growing because of you. Do you know in the last month we got over 2,000 subscribers, and I want you to help us get to 3,000 subscribers. We can do it. Press that subscribe button. It's completely free, but it means the world to us. It shows us that you like this unique take on the news. And when we get big, we promise we won't sell out and be like that other left-wing channel. Become a part of this community. I promise you, we will not let you down.
We've also had the Congressional Latino Caucus. Congresswoman Escobar of Texas was on MSNBC this week to say why they're supporting Biden.
Behind the president 100%. Take a listen.
Yes, the race is super close. It is within the margin of error, which is why we need to unify around our candidate. And I am not, nor will I be, one of the members of Congress calling on him to step aside. I, in fact, hope that my colleagues get on board and help us speak more to the dangers ahead should there be another Trump presidency.
Adding that voters she has spoken to are concerned about the effort to push President Biden off the presidential race.
As well as Yvette Clarke, the co-chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, and Representative Frederica Wilson of Florida released a statement on Sunday underscoring her support for the Biden-Harris ticket and condemning the Democrats who called for Biden to step aside, saying that anyone who does so needs to get their priorities straight. This is no time for the party to be fighting itself. It shows weakness. And here AOC talks about what's really behind all this, and it's not good.
I'm going to say what a lot of these folks aren't saying. I'm just going to say it. If you think that there is consensus among the people who want Joe Biden to leave, that they will support Vice President Harris, you would be mistaken. I'm going to say that because if they're going to come out and say all their little things on background off the record, but they're not going to be fully honest, I'm going to be honest for them. And came out and said that they're absolutely preparing legal challenges to wherever it's possible. And I want to tell you, those legal challenges are most viable where? In the same handful of swing seats that are needed to win the presidency. I'm here to tell you that a huge amount of the donor class and a huge amount of these elites and a huge amount of these folks in these rooms that I see that are pushing for President Biden to not be the nominee also are not interested in seeing the vice president being the nominee. Will they win out on that? I don't know. But I am here to tell you, do not take that for granted. Do not take that outcome for granted. And I have said, game out your actual plan for me. Game it out. Have you looked in, what are the risks of this going to the Supreme Court? What are these things, right? And I'm not here to assert any major thing. If y'all want to come with the receipts in the comments, that's fine. But what I can tell you is that I have stood up in rooms of folks making these decisions, and I have raised these questions, and no one had an answer.
You can check out on YouTube. We've got people like Lockett's Meadow Farm, Mima, with her Dear Joe, Listen Up video.
But first I need to have a chat with President Joe Biden. President Biden, I am absolutely sick about what is happening with the Democratic Party. As a very practical Yankee farm wife, I have the common sense to see past all the bullshit that's swirling around. All of it purposely caused by Donald Trump, and I am horrified, but not surprised, to see the press play right into his little hands. Now, when the first Democrats called for you to drop out, it sealed the deal because the rest of them said, well, if this one said it, maybe I should do it too. Maybe he can't do it. What the hell? Then a few more. Then a few more. And now Trump and his bullshit is in everyone's head, except for perhaps the heads of people with common sense who see it was a total setup.
So, Joe's got his 100 days agenda out already. You can take a look at that.
Today I'm going to start by laying out the first 100 days of my second term. And here it is. The first bill I'm going to introduce will restore Roe v. Wade to make it the law of the land. I will sign the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. We're not only going to stop Trump and the MAGA Republicans from cutting Social Security and Medicare, we'll expand and strengthen Social Security and Medicare. And here's how we're going to do it. Press always asks how. Listen, press, by making the rich pay their fair share of Social Security. And we're going to end medical debt. By that I mean we've already made sure medical debt can no longer be put on your credit report. You can wipe out medical debt for pennies on the dollar. We're going to raise the federal minimum wage. We're going to pass the PRO Act, ending union busting once and for all. And I'm going to ban assault weapons again. I did it once, I'm going to do it again. We're going to keep leading the world. We are on climate and clean energy. When I signed the American Rescue Plan, the law expanded child care tax credit to cut child poverty in half in America, and it did. The Republicans let it expire. I'm going to make child care tax cut permanent. And by the way, it increases economic growth, doesn't increase the deficit. People can work when you have child. No, I'm serious. That's the deal. We capped the cost of insulin for seniors at $35, totally cost. And no senior beginning in 2025 is going to have to pay more than $2,000 a year for all their prescription drugs, including cancer drugs that are $10,000, $12,000, $14,000 a year. And my second term, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make that same plan available for every single American. Again, saving the federal government hundreds of billions of dollars over time. We're going to make housing more affordable. That means taking on corporate greed and getting the rents down. We're going to build 2 million housing units and cap rent increases at 5% a year so corporate landlords can no longer gouge everyone like they're doing. We can do this. We're going to end Trump's tax cuts for the very wealthy and the corporations to make the tax code fair. I kept my commitment. I think a lot of you thought, why is Biden doing what he said? Which is, no one making less than $400,000 will pay a penny more in federal taxes. I don't know many people making $400,000. In my neighborhood, no one did. But I wanted to be clear that I wasn't going to be taxing anyone who was a working man or even close to it. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to make billionaires, we have 1,000 in America since the pandemic, pay a minimum tax of 25%. You know what? By the way, you know what they pay now? A billionaire's federal tax is 8.2%. Not a joke. I'm not making this up. Because no billionaire should pay a lower tax rate than a teacher, a firefighter, a nurse. It's ridiculous.
And Trump didn't get any bump from this unfortunate incident with an assassination attempt, and he didn't get any bump after the failure of an RNC speech either. Unity, my arse. But the Dems need to take this unity message back and fucking act like it. And I'm going to give the last word on this to Politics by Tabitha about polling.
So I just got this news alert on my phone. I clicked on it, and this is the article that it brought up. I did realize yesterday that Adam Schiff came out and asked President Joe Biden to step aside. Nancy Pelosi has been having these conversations for a while now. And then I got a news alert that today, former President Barack Obama has also asked Joe Biden to step aside, and they're all citing poll numbers. I first want to say this. This is why I don't fully identify as a Democrat. They are annoyingly and frustratingly cowards. They don't stand strong in anything. And let me also say this. Whoever the Democrat nominee will be for president is who I will be voting for, because I'm voting in regards to the Supreme Court. And I am voting in regards to the administration, a Democrat administration. And I am voting against a dictatorship and fascism. So whoever will end up running for president as the Democrat, that's who I will be voting for. Vote blue up and down the ticket. And if the Democrats win in November, I think it's time that we start to clean house with the Democrats as well.
Screw the polls and fuck Donald Trump. Blue, no matter who.
The very same people right now calling on Joe to resign are the very same people who would have decimated Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren the second they accepted the nomination back in 2020. This Democratic Party is run by millionaires and billionaires. They're fine if Donald Trump wins. Now, they'll be upset if Trump wins because they won't be in the loop if he wins. They need to be in the loop. They knew if Bernie won, they wouldn't be in the loop with Bernie either. They want to be in the loop. What's the point of having all that money if you can't dictate policy? There are now reports that $90 million in donations are being withheld from the Democratic Party. The spigot has been turned off. They're saying until Joe Biden quits the ticket, the $90 million that were pledged, you're not going to get it. Get rid of them. The donors have turned their backs on Joe Biden. And trust me, it's not because Joe repeatedly promises to allow Trump's tax cuts for the very wealthy to expire in 2025. He keeps saying Trump's tax cuts for the richest 1% expire next year, and I'm not going to renew them over and over again. But that has nothing to do with why the millionaires and the billionaires are abandoning Joe Biden, because they don't care about money. That's why they're millionaires and billionaires, because they don't care about money.